The film opens in a sleek, neon-drenched near future where humanity has fully embraced the link, a sophisticated neural implant embedded at the base of the skull. This chip is the pulse of modern existence, handling everything from instantaneous financial transactions to personal identification and biometric health monitoring. The setting for this high-stakes thriller is the maiden voyage of the Nexus 01, a state-of-the-art maglev train designed to travel at unprecedented speeds of over 600 km per hour, connecting two sprawling coastal megacities. Among the passengers are Scarlett, Nikki Whalen, and Tessa, Scout Taylor Compton, two elite cheerleading coaches traveling with their team of young athletes to a prestigious national championship. Joining them in the crowded cars are Gray, Oliver Masucci, a weary Interpol agent on a quiet transfer mission, and a group of high-risk inmates being transported in a specialized, automated prison car at the rear of the train. The journey begins with the sterile, quiet luxury of futuristic travel, but the atmosphere shatters less than 30 minutes into the trip. In a remote, fortified bunker, a rogue technological genius named Lachlan, Louis Mandela, a former lead architect of the Link system who was betrayed and discarded by his corporate overlords, executes a massive, precision hack. Lachlan doesn't just want to stop the train, he wants to turn it into a global spectacle of cruelty. He bypasses the train's internal security and hijacks the neural implants of every passenger on board. Through an underground, dark web portal, he auctions off the motor functions of the passengers to the highest bidders. In an instant, the Nexus 01 becomes a literal ghost train, where innocent people lose control of their own limbs, their bodies becoming puppets for wealthy, anonymous players around the world who treat the passengers like characters in a violent video game. The horror begins in the prison car, where the inmates are the first to be fully activated in a high-aggression mode. Controlled by players seeking the ultimate thrill, the prisoners break free and begin a systematic slaughter of the guards before moving forward into the civilian sections. The terror is visceral, mothers find themselves unable to hug their crying children, and strangers find their hands reaching for the throats of those sitting next to them, all while their minds remain fully conscious but trapped inside their own hijacked bodies. Scarlett and Tessa, however, represent a glitch in Lachlan's plan. Tessa's background as a former special operations soldier provides her with a psychological resilience that allows her to momentarily fight back against the Link overrides, while Scarlett possesses a high-level technical aptitude that allows her to recognize the frequency of the hack. As the train hurtles toward its destination, the stakes are revealed to be much higher than a simple hijacking. Gray, the Interpol agent, discovers through a secure, encrypted government channel that Lachlan has programmed the Nexus 01 to collide with the central terminal of the capital city. The collision isn't meant just for destruction, the train's massive battery array is rigged to create a localized electromagnetic pulse, EMP, upon impact that will broadcast Lachlan's Link killer virus to millions of people in the city, effectively lobotomizing anyone with an implant. With the train's manual brakes disabled and the cockpit locked behind a digital firewall, Scarlett, Tessa, and Gray form an uneasy alliance. They must fight their way through a series of themed cars, each presenting a different nightmare scenario orchestrated by the bidders on the dark web. The middle act of the film is a masterclass in claustrophobic action. In the dining car, the trio is forced into a brutal confrontation with a group of businessmen whose bodies are being puppeteered by expert martial artists via the Link. The choreography is haunting, as the puppets move with a disjointed, unnatural speed, their faces frozen in expressions of sheer terror while their hands perform lethal strikes. Tessa utilizes her tactical training to turn the narrow corridors into a series of choke points, using improvised weapons and the train's own high-speed inertia to neutralize threats. Meanwhile, Scarlett uses a portable diagnostic tool to create a silent zone, a small radius where the Link signal is jammed, giving them a brief sanctuary to plan their next move. As they reach the engine room, the psychological toll becomes the central focus. Lachlan, realizing that Scarlett is a threat to his grand finale, targets her specifically. He floods her neural implant with a sensory overload, forcing her to relive traumatic memories in an attempt to break her focus. This internal battle is depicted through flickering, distorted visuals that contrast with the cold, metallic reality of the train. Tessa and Gray have to defend Scarlett's unconscious body from a final wave of possessed passengers and Lachlan's personal team of mercenaries who have boarded the train mid-transit via a high-speed pursuit vehicle. The action peaks as Gray is forced to make a harrowing choice: stay and defend the door or crawl outside the train at 600 km/h to manually decouple the engine from the passenger cars. As they reach the engine room, the psychological toll becomes the central focus. Lachlan, realizing that Scarlett is a threat to his grand finale, targets her specifically. He floods her neural implant with a sensory overload, forcing her to relive traumatic memories in an attempt to break her focus. This internal battle is depicted through flickering, distorted visuals that contrast with the cold, metallic reality of the train. Tessa and Gray have to defend Scarlett's unconscious body from a final wave of possessed passengers and Lachlan's personal team of mercenaries who have boarded the train mid-transit via a high-speed pursuit vehicle. The action peaks as Gray is forced to make a harrowing choice: stay and defend the door or crawl outside the train at 600 km/h to manually decouple the engine from the passenger cars. With Lachlan dead and the signal severed, the passengers regain control of their bodies, but they are met with the immediate terror of the approaching city skyline. Gray successfully pulls the manual release lever, sacrificing his position on the train to ensure the passenger cars are detached. The engine, still carrying the EMP-rigged batteries, streaks ahead and plows into the terminal's safety buffers in a gargantuan explosion of fire and twisted metal. The passenger cars, now disconnected, activate their emergency magnetic drag systems. The friction creates a shower of sparks that illuminates the dark tunnels like a sun as the cars finally screech to a halt just hundreds of yards away from the wreckage of the engine. The film ends with a hauntingly quiet epilogue. Scarlett and Tessa emerge from the wreckage into the sunlight of the terminal, surrounded by thousands of traumatized survivors. There are no cheers, only the heavy silence of a society that has realized its own fragility. The final shot lingers on a news screen in the station, which flickers and dies, suggesting that while the immediate threat of the Nexus 01 was stopped, the virus Scarlett used to kill Lachlan may have had unforeseen consequences for the global network. The speed train has reached its destination, but the world it left behind is forever changed, grappling with the dark reality that their greatest technological achievements are also their most dangerous tethers.